welcome to this week's Children's Ministry Online. We've got some worship, a story, and a craft for you waiting, so let's get into it.
Over mountains high, through the valleys low, God is good. Wherever we go, from the brightest days to the darkest nights, God is good all the time. Oh, 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 God is good. Oh, oh, snow to the vast unknown, everywhere we go, God is good. Through the trials we face, He will show the way. We will stand and say that God is good. Oh, 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 God is good. Oh, 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 around. Our God is good. When nothing goes our way, and it's just not our day. Our God is good. Oh, 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 God is good. Oh, 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 over mountains high, through the valleys low, God is good. Wherever we go, from the brightest days to the darkest nights, God is good. Over mountains high, through the valleys low, God is good. Wherever we go, from the brightest days to the darkest nights, God is good all the time. Oh, 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 God is good. Oh, oh, God is good.
Psalms 41 and 2. I waited patiently for the Lord. He turned to me and heard my cry. He lifted me out of the slimy pit, out of the mud and mire. He set my feet on a rock, gave me a firm place to stand. He set my feet on a rock, gave me a firm place to stand. Set my feet on a rock, yeah, and here I am. I waited patiently for the Lord. He turned to me and heard my cry. He lifted me out of the slimy pit, out of the mud and mire. He set my feet on a rock, gave me a firm place to stand. He set my feet on a rock, gave me a firm place to stand. Set my feet on a rock, yeah, and here I am. Waited patiently for the Lord. He turned to me and heard my cry. He lifted me out of the slimy pit, out of the mud and mire. He set my feet on the rock, he gave me a firm place to stand. He set my feet on the rock, gave me a firm place to stand. Set my feet on the rock, yeah, and here I am, hey, hey. Here I am, here I am, here I am.
All right, kids, let's get into our story for today. We're going to be reading from the Jesus Storybook Bible, and our story for today is called A Giant Staircase to Heaven, which is the story of the Tower of Babel from Genesis 11. Noah and his family lived in the land, and his children had children, and those children had more children, and then those children had even more children, and well, you get the picture, until there were lots of people on the earth once more. Now, back then, everyone spoke exactly the same language, so you didn't need to learn Swahili or Japanese or anything, because you could say hello and everybody would understand what you meant. One day, everyone was talking and they came up with an idea. Let's build ourselves a beautiful city to live in. It can be our home and will be safe forever and ever. Then they had another idea. And let's build a really tall tower to reach up all the way to heaven. Yes, they said. We'll say, look at us up at here. And everyone will look up at us. And we'll look down on them. And then we'll know we are something. We'll be like God. We'll be famous and safe and happy. And everything will be all right. So they got to work. Brick by brick, the tower grew higher and higher until it soared above the city, touching the sky. They built stairs in the tower to climb to the top. It was like a giant staircase to heaven. Look, they cheered. We're the ones. See what we can do with our very own hands. They were quite pleased with themselves. But God wasn't really pleased with them. God could see what they were really doing. They were trying to live without him, but God knew that they wouldn't make them happy or safe or really anything. If they kept on like this, they would only destroy themselves, and God loved them too much to see them do that. So he stopped their plans. One morning, they went to work as usual, but everything was different. Their words were all new and funny. You see, God had given each person a completely different language. Suddenly, no one understood what anyone else was saying. Someone would say, "How do you do?" And the other person thought they said, "How ugly are you?" It wasn't that funny. You could be saying something nice like, "Such a lovely morning, isn't it?" And then you'd get a punch in the nose because they thought that you said, "Hush up, you're boring." You couldn't even say "pardon" to check if you'd heard right because no one understood that word either. It wasn't easy to work together after that, as you can probably imagine. People were always quarreling and fighting and getting in a dreadful muddle and becoming grumpier and grumpier, until at last they were all too cross to keep on building. They just had to stop. After that, people scattered all over the world, which is how we ended up with so many different languages to this day. You see, God knew however high they reached, however hard they tried, people could never get back to heaven by themselves. People didn't need a staircase. They needed a rescuer. Because the way back to heaven wasn't a staircase, it was a person. People could never reach up to heaven, so heaven would have to come down to them. And one day it would. Well, that is our story for this week, so let's get into our craft. All right, kids, now it's time to get into our craft for today. So for the supplies that you will need is some pieces of paper. I have 4 different colors of paper. You can just use all white, or you can color the white pieces of paper any color that you want. I also have a ruler. I have a pair of scissors. I have glue stick, and tape, so it all depends on what you all prefer to use. And then I have my colored pencils and my markers. So go ahead and grab your materials and I'll meet you back here. Okay, so now let's get started. So go ahead and take your 4 pieces of paper and just choose one of them to be your backboard. So the bottom piece of paper that you're going to use. So I will choose the red piece of paper to be the background. The other 3 are going to be ones that we're going to cut into different shapes, and we'll be using them in different ways. So we'll put our background paper over to the side, and then we are going to take our 3 pieces of paper and we are going to draw 3 circles on it, and then, 2 circles on each piece of paper, and then we're gonna draw 2 straight lines. So we'll use our ruler and we'll make it about, let's see, almost an inch long. So we'll go about an inch out. We'll take that, we'll take a marker, and then we'll just draw a straight line down. We're gonna do that twice. Perfect, so we'll do that for each of these. And then we are going to draw 2 circles on each of them. Perfect. And now we're going to draw 2 circles, but the circles don't really have to be perfect circles. They can actually be they're going to be comment bubbles. So if you've ever seen like a comic book or something like that, where they just have little bubbles outside of people's heads of them like talking, of their dialogue, that's what we're going to be doing. So you can take, so for pink, I'll go with pink. For purple, I'll go purple. And for orange, I'll go orange, because we'll probably still be able to see that outlined color. So I'll just draw like that. So I'm going to draw 2 of those, and you can make them as big or small as you would like. You can do that for each. That one will be smaller. This one will be bigger. Perfect. Okay, now once we have these, we are going to cut each of them out. So we're going to cut these 2 stripes out and the 2 dialogue circles that we have made out of each one of these. So go ahead and do that. Okay, once you've cut out all of these pieces, go ahead and take these long strips, and what you're going to do is you're going to fold them just like this. So in small little rectangles, just like that. And then we'll just fold them back and forth, making a zigzag. So when you pull it all out, it looks like that. You're going to do that down the entire strip, and you'll do that for all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these. So go ahead and start that. All right, once you have made all these squigglies, folded all of them, go ahead and grab your background piece of paper and your bubbles. So now we want to make sure that all of our bubbles will fit on there, okay? So perfect. So you want to give a little bit of space because you are going to have to draw a person right underneath where that bubble is. But yeah, that looks like that's going to fit. So now let's take our different bubbles and we are going to write different hellos in different languages on them. So we can start out with, whoops, actually, let's use pink. You can start out with hello, which is obviously English. And then you can do hola in the purple one. In Spanish, they have exclamation points at the front and the beginning of them, so that's why I did it that way. And then we can we'll do ciao, which is Italian for hello. We'll do an exclamation point there. I'm not sure if they have an exclamation point at the beginning, so we'll just leave that like that. And then let's do aloha, which is Hawaiian. And then we can do yasas, which is hello in Greek. And then we'll do the Japanese, which is konnichiwa. I should have saved one of my bigger ones to write that, but that's okay, next time. Okay, so once you have all of the words or the different forms of hello or in different languages, or you can write other stuff, you could say, how are you doing in other languages? This is a really cool craft for you to be able to look at the different languages and see how they say things. So once you have all of that, then you're going to take these little squigglies and we'll just kind of pull them back up just a little bit. So when you put it all down like that, when you let it go, it kind of goes a little bit far and we don't want it to stretch out that far. So we're probably gonna have to cut these halfway to maybe 3/4 of the way. What we're going to do is we're going to tape this down and then we're going to pull these back up and then tape this one to our bubble dialogue, and then it will be sticking on that and kind of like poking out, like springing out just like that. So, and we're going to kind of mismatch colors. You don't have to mismatch. You can put orange with orange and pink with pink and purple with purple. I'll put them all with kind of different colors. Just like that. Perfect. So go ahead and cut all of these about halfway. That's probably as much as we'll be needing to use from them. Perfect. So now we're going to get our tape or our glue stick or regular glue. I'll just use tape because that might be a little bit faster. And I'm gonna tape just this bottom square. And I'll So we need to figure out where we're gonna put these. So let's do something like, that. So this is gonna be right here, so I'll put it like that. I'll just tape it, and then we'll fold this up. We'll give it a little squeeze down, and then we'll get another piece of tape. And we're gonna put this on the outside of it like that. That way when it's pressed down, the tape, the sticky side is up. And then we'll put our hello bubble on there like that. And then it, boop, pops out. So that is how we are going to do all of these. It's gonna kind of be a little flimsy of a craft today. So if you want to cut it shorter, if you only want it to pop out just a little bit, you can cut it you can cut it so that there's only 2 or 3 folds, and that will make it not pop out so much. Or you can use the whole thing and make it extra springy. So go ahead and tape or glue down the rest of your bubbles. All right, once you have taped all of them out, you can see they're all a little bit crazy right here. I mean, if you don't want it to be that crazy, that is totally okay. But just for while you are trying to figure out where to draw people, you can kind of hold one down and then go ahead and grab a marker. So we can start from the bottom and go up. So we'll start out with the Greek Yesas. And then we'll just draw a person. Just like that. So kind of draw them already saying that. So you'll go ahead and you'll do that with all of these going this. Perfect. Now once you have that, you guys are welcome to draw more people if you would like. You can just draw other people standing, maybe some of them frowning because they don't understand what they're saying. They're saying all these languages and they're not understanding. They don't know if they're saying something nice or something mean, but hopefully they would say something nice. But at the end of it, this is our craft where we are saying things in a bunch of different language because this is where they all came from them trying to build the Tower of Babel, and God wanted to confuse them to have them stop building it because they weren't building it for the right reasons, and this is how he confused them with all the different languages. So I hope that you enjoyed this craft. It'll be kind of a fun one because you can bounce with them. But yes, this was a really cool craft to do with you all. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for watching this week's Children's Ministry Online. I'm so glad that you all were able to join us this week, and we hope that you can join us next week for our upcoming story. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you soon.